Welcome back to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's podcast, I'm joined by a very special guest. Two-time national champion from the Wisconsin Badgers women's hockey team, Britta Curl, joins the show today. Britta, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and how's everything going?
Good. Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. And my first question to you is, you're now a two-time national champion. Has that feeling fully sunk into you yet after a few months after it happened, I guess?
Yeah, I think at this point it's kind of finally started to sink in. The first couple of weeks, it's kind of just a blur. You don't really realize what you've done until you get some time away from hockey and away from campus. So, yeah, definitely now I'm able to appreciate it.
Now, what has the team been doing to celebrate this national championship win? Of course, since it's during a pandemic, you guys can't really celebrate as you guys used to, especially when you won it your freshman season.
Yeah, Madison is probably one of the coolest places to play hockey. I mean, the fan base is awesome and it's a pretty cool campus. But yeah, we were able to go to, there's a lot of outdoor restaurants and bars and stuff like that. So the first night we got there, we kind of brought the trophy to State Street, and there were a ton of people there just celebrating with us. So yeah, it's cool. We got to do quite a bit of stuff.
That's awesome. And how does this national championship win compare to the last time you won it when you were a freshman?
It's definitely a little bit different. I think just the teams are different. You had different people on it, but I definitely can appreciate this one a little bit more just being an upperclassman. I was a freshman my first year, so you don't really understand how hard it is until you kind of are in the older girls' shoes. So they're both really special, but this one was a little different.
Definitely. And Wisconsin just announced their schedule for next season. Is there any game you're looking forward to play?
I think it'll be pretty cool. We have some out of conference games finally. I mean, obviously this year we could only play WCHA teams. So definitely looking forward to playing like Quinnipiac. That should be a good one. And we get to travel to Lindenwood, I believe. Yeah, I'm looking forward to just having a full schedule finally.
Yeah, and Lindenwood has a nice stadium too, from what I've heard.
Yeah, we got to play there my freshman year, I believe. And yeah, it's a cool setup.
And you also go to Merrimack too. So how cool is it for yourself to play some of those out east schools, because the style of play is a little bit different than the WCHA?
Yeah, it's just something to look forward to. It's some different competition to, see where you're at and to compare yourselves to other teams. I actually haven't played Merrimack in my career yet, so that should be a fun one too.
Definitely. Now, you were just participating in the World Championship training camp for Team USA. What was that experience like for you? And talk about playing some of your college rivals now being teammates with the national team.
Yeah, it's really special anytime you get to go to one of those camps or be on a team. So I'm really grateful anytime I get to do that. And this past time was no different. It's definitely a competitive atmosphere, especially this year being, the Olympic year. So I don't know, I really enjoy getting to, be around other college players, just get to know them a little bit, not across from each other on the face-off dot, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to the next, couple months, see how it goes.
Yeah, and is there any awkwardness? Because I know some Northeastern players were part of that national team training camp. So is there any awkwardness seeing them after just competing for a national title?
No, not too bad. Like I'm pretty good friends with Aaron Frankel, and when we get together at these camps, it's kind of we'll leave the competition behind us, and yeah, we get along pretty well.
Now, I have to ask you about that save that Maddie Rooney made. What was your reaction to that? Because I saw that video and it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, these goalies at these camps and stuff are unreal, and yeah, you can't expect much more than what they're giving you. So I wasn't really surprised, honestly.
Now, obviously, the World Championships got canceled and rescheduled to August. What was your reaction to that entire situation, especially since you guys were heading up to Halifax, I think, like a few days before the cancellation happened?
Yeah, that was tough. I mean, especially for the older girls, they train all year and they have to make a lot of sacrifices just for this one tournament or two each year, and to have it kind of stripped away at the last second. it was really tough. You know, obviously there's more opportunities in the future, but it's really annoying when you have to go through all this protocol and stuff as far as COVID goes, and then you get to right where you're supposed to be and you're doing everything right, and all of a sudden they're like, no, like you can't go. So I don't know, it sucked, honestly.
Yeah, and did it make it even worse that the men's U18 World Championships were happening the same time the women's World Championships were happening? Because that's something I heard was they had a whole backup plan for that tournament. Yep, for you guys, there was no backup plan at all.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're watching the stuff on Twitter and you're following along with the men's juniors teams that went on in the winter, and so it kind of gets you excited, like, oh, there's these things happening, we're coming up soon, and you look forward to getting to finally play, and then all of a sudden it gets shut down, and I don't know, it kind of leaves everyone a little bit confused as to why they were able to make these other tournaments happen. Um, I don't know. I think some of the decision making along the process wasn't the best, but I mean, who am I to know?
Hmm. And I have to ask you because I haven't seen anything. Where's the rescheduled tournament going to be? Because I don't think it's going to be Nova Scotia anymore, from what I've been reading.
Right. Yeah, definitely not Nova Scotia. I don't think they've decided or at least released where it's going to be. I've heard that they're thinking about either like Calgary or Edmonton or something, but I don't think we know yet.
Is it going to be in Canada though? That's like the only thing. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the plan. I'm pretty sure it's like their year to host it, so they it was tough to like give the host country up.
nice. Well, let's start talking about this past season that you just experienced it. So you had to deal with a lot of obstacles. What was the secret for getting through all those obstacles, especially in the beginning of the year, because there were some COVID positive tests that happened that shut your team down throughout the beginning of the season. So you guys kind of had an inconsistent schedule before Christmas.
Yeah, I think everyone just kind of had an understanding that nothing was a given, especially the players that we played last year, and then it got shut down at the end. So every day that we got to come to the rink and play a game, we took it as a blessing because you didn't know if you were going to get a whole ton of them. I think it started with the leadership group we had, the seniors, just trying to keep everyone focused on what's happening today because you can't really control things. And I thought everyone on our team just did a really good job of staying present and doing the things that we can control because it was a crazy year. And yeah, getting shut down in the middle of the season is not ideal, but there's not a whole lot you can do about it.
Now, talk about your team's freshman class and just the impact they had on your team, and how did you try to help their transition into college hockey this year?
Yeah, we were very lucky to have um, super skilled, all three of them. Like even in practice, it's tough to play against them. And then obviously we got Lacey Eden, who came in a little bit later, and I think she kind of tied the whole thing together. She really meshed well with our team. She's kind of a grinder, hard worker. So yeah, I mean, I think we wouldn't have the success that we did without our freshmen. They were huge for us, and it didn't take them long to transition.
You also had a new goalie come in, Kennedy Blair. What talk about the impact that she had on your team, and just had she meshed with the team as well? Because I know you two are both from North Dakota, so I thought that was interesting as well.
Yeah, I actually played 1 year of high school hockey with her here in Bismarck. We're pretty good friends with their family. So when I found out she was coming, I was super pumped. I knew she was a hard worker and a good goalie, but she definitely exceeded my expectations. Just being able to come in as a new goaltender and secure that spot for herself and just be so consistent in the net. I mean, I think a lot of players can attest to the fact that if you have a good, solid goalie in the net, it makes everything so much easier. Um, yeah, she was great, and it was a lot of fun having her on the team this year.
Now, you obviously didn't play in front of any fans throughout the regular season. How did you adjust to that, especially at LeBon, where you guys pack that house every single night, and it brings your team a lot of energy on the ice?
Yeah, honestly, like I can't even remember the last game that I played with full fans, but it's obviously not ideal. But there's not a whole lot you can do about it, and it's still hockey. You can still have fun with your teammates. I remember us talking in the locker room one time, and we're like, we played 17 years of hockey without fans in the stands. High school girls hockey isn't filling up the house, so it's not something that we've never done before. And it kind of takes it takes away maybe some distractions that may come. So that was a way we looked at it too.
Yeah, and did you guys try to bring that energy on the bench? Because watching your team play, every time there was a block shot or just a great play, your team went crazy on the bench. It was awesome for a fan to watch that because it kind of made me energized as well.
Yeah, of course. That's something we definitely talked about as a team. No matter who you are, if you're playing or you're not, that's one thing that you can do that definitely has an impact in the game is just having energy and, hyping your teammates up if something good happens and keeping people positive if things aren't going your way. I think our team is pretty special. We have a lot of fun together. We can kind of be idiots together and just mess around. So that keeps the game fun and it keeps us engaged for sure.
Now, one thing that I think a lot of people didn't consider was the men's team also played at LeBron this year as well. Was it an adjustment sharing that arena for the first time?
It wasn't too bad, honestly, because in past years they've sometimes had to practice in Lebanon just because the Cole Center they share with the basketball teams. So, I mean, it wasn't too much of a transition. It was kind of cool to be able to watch them play at LeBron. I think they had fun there too.
Now, something that was introduced to college hockey this year was 3-on-3 overtime. As an offensive player like yourself, what was it like to have more space on the ice and have more offensive opportunities during those 3-on-3 overtime situations?
I loved it, honestly. I think it's a really fun way to play. We practiced it a lot during the year, just at the end of practice, kind of as a partly conditioning and just partly to work on it. But when we have players like Daryl Watts and Sophie Shirley on the ice, it's pretty fun to play with them. I think Daryl probably had like 2 or 3 overtime goals, and yeah, I think it suits our team well with the skill that we have.
Yeah, I agree. It shows off the skill level of a lot of the best talented college hockey players, but it also eliminates ties. And I don't know about yourself, but I absolutely hate ties. So that was one thing I did not miss from this past year.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 5-on-5 overtime for 5 minutes. Usually not much happens. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you on that. But let's start off talking about the tournament run that your team had. You won the WCHA championship. You beat Ohio State in overtime. What was your reaction when Lacey scored that overtime winner goal, and just how what was the feeling, I guess, for winning that game? Because Ohio State beat you this past season in that WCHA championship. So did it feel nice to have kind of revenge against that team, but also have that tournament spot secured as well?
Oh, yeah. It was a sick goal. You can't get my hardest shots on our team, I would say. So to see her get it was awesome. And then obviously the rivalry between our two teams is a big one. As long as I've been in college, the series that we play with them have probably been one of the most competitive. They're a really hard team to beat. So I think that also just gave us a ton of confidence going into the playoffs.
Now you also beat Minnesota in those WCHA playoffs. What was it like being that team, and what's it like being a player in that big rivalry between you and Minnesota?
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the fun weekends that you look forward to all year that you mark on your calendar. Um, I think it's a cool rivalry because there's a lot of respect between the two teams, and there's a lot of, you know, players that are friends with each other on other teams. But then when it comes time to drop the puck, it gets pretty intense. And yeah, those are definitely the games that I'm going to look back when I'm done and appreciate and remember the most.
Now, what was your team's mindset heading into the national tournament this year compared to your mindset heading into the national tournament your freshman season?
It's pretty similar. I think our coaches do a good job of just keeping us even keel, not letting us get too high or too hyped up about it. It's just another game. We've been preparing for a whole season for it. Yeah, not making it more than it is. It's just the next game. What do you have to do your next shift? So yeah, we just focused on one game at a time, and it worked for us. So
Now, what was the atmosphere like at those tournament games in Erie? Just because your freshman season obviously was a full house and you guys got to do the red carpet stuff. This year was a little bit different, only 25% capacity. What was the atmosphere like, and what was it like being a player in that atmosphere, even though there wasn't that many people there?
Yeah, I think Erie did a good job of having good facilities, and the tournament went smoothly. I think it was cool to have some fans there, at least better than a lot of the games we had to play throughout the year. A lot of people had family in the stands and friends that got to come watch. So I think you don't really need a whole lot to make a national tournament game feel important. So I don't think it really affected us much.
Now, in your first game in that tournament, you played Providence. What challenges did that team bring? And just talk about the team's defensive performance that you had in that game, because I don't think Providence had a shot on goal in the entire first period, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we knew that we were the better team. I think sometimes though it can be a challenge when you're playing teams like that who really play defensively and they pack in front of the net. So I mean, they're trying to keep you from scoring essentially. And it was a pretty close game for most of the time. But we just kept chipping away. We knew we were doing the right things. We couldn't get frustrated when we're not scoring as much as we maybe think we should. But yeah, they did a great job. They're a good team. And they're definitely on the rise in hockey. So it was a good way to propel us to the next game, I think.
And how do you prepare for a team like that, especially not playing any out of conference games, just because the style of play in hockey is versus the WCHA is a little bit different?
Yeah, I think the coaches did a good job of showing us film and kind of breaking down their play, but also we knew our strengths and we kind of just had to focus on ourselves. We knew we were the faster team, and our coach kept harping on us to get shots on net because it's the only way you're gonna score.
Now, you then went on to play Ohio State again in the Frozen Four. How did that game compare to when you played them in the WCHA final?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the stakes are a bit higher. I mean, you lose this one and you're done for the season, so we knew they would come out with fire. I mean, anytime we play them, they're tough, they're physical, they're really skilled too. So I think we were confident though. I think beating them in the past tournament helped us realize that this was something that was definitely we could do if we stuck to the game plan. It was another close game again, but I don't know. I think in that game we kind of got into a zone where we didn't feel any pressure. We didn't think about losing. It was just from there on, we kind of were straight ahead on to our goals.
And was the preparation process different between Providence and Ohio State, just because Ohio State, you played them all year long versus Providence, where you haven't even played any out of conference games?
Yeah, I mean, it's so tough playing a game or playing a team, 6 or 7 times in the same season. It was kind of similar to my freshman year when we played Minnesota in the final. I mean, because you know each other so well, so it's so hard to find those weaknesses. And I don't know, it's just a different game because you're so familiar with each other. But I think our coaches did a really good job too of continuing to show us film and just focusing on our keys.
Yeah, I think you see that in this year's NHL playoffs, since all the teams have played each other 6 or 7 times during the regular season, and now they're playing each other in the playoffs. And I think it was very similar to the game you guys had against Ohio State. Very close, very physical, but I think it was a really fun game to watch from a fan perspective, and I'm assuming it was super fun to play as a player as well.
Yeah, those are like the best games. I mean, you can't ask for anything better than a good rivalry game with high stakes. So we were really excited to be there.
Now let's talk about the national championship game you were just a part of. You played Northeastern. What was the offensive game plan for that game? Just because Erin Frankel, she obviously won the Patty Kazmaier Award this year. She's one of the best goalies in the country. How did you offensively prepare for a goalie like that?
I mean, you have to understand that she's going to stop most of the shots that she sees. So it was really important for us to um, just get pucks to the net and make sure we're screening her and getting there for rebounds. I think our first goal was a rebound. I think McKenna Webster scored. Just a great play. Casey O'Brien shot a far pad and she's crashing the net. So it's things like that. You're going to have to work to get to the net, and it's maybe not the prettiest goals, but that's what you're going to have to do to get it past her.
Now, something I noticed watching that game was just the physicality. Is that something your team preached before that game, was to bring that physical play just because in Hockey East it's not as physical as the WCHA?
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw like an interview too about how Northeastern was pretty surprised by Duluth's speed and their physicalness. So we tried to bring that right away in the game. I think they kind of pushed back too. They definitely had some bigger players that pushed you around a bit. So yeah, I think it's just all around both teams were going at it pretty hard, and it makes it a fun championship game.
Yeah, definitely. And I thought the refs did a good job calling that because they would kind of let a lot of the plays go by. They kind of swallowed the whistles a little bit. As a player, do you like that, just letting you guys play and not really worrying about penalties being called?
Oh, 100%. I mean, especially in playoffs, you don't want to let the refs control the game. You just want to play. I thought all tournament the refing was pretty good, and they let us go at it a little bit.
Now, I like the physical play. Do you think hitting should be allowed in women's hockey? Because I think it would add an element to it that I think it would make it more fun to watch than it already is right now.
Yeah, I honestly would agree with you. I think hitting would be fun. I don't really see why there's the discrepancy between men and women. Um, I think it would be fun to try. I mean, it would probably bring a lot more fans to the women's game that enjoy that on the men's side.
Now, what was the message in the locker room heading into overtime in that game? Because in the third period, Northeastern tied it 1-1. What was the message heading into overtime in that game?
Just confidence. I mean, the amount of overtime games that we'd played in and close games that we'd had to come back from a deficit. I think we just knew that we had the experience and we didn't have any fear going into that last overtime period. I think our season was tough and we had a lot of things that prepared us for that moment. So we just tried to remember that and just go out there and play.
Now, Darrell Watts obviously got that OT winner. What was your reaction to that goal? Because to be honest with you, I didn't really know it went in until like the entire bench started jumping up and celebrating.
Yeah, I think I just gotten off the ice from a shift, so I was probably head down, breathing pretty hard on the bench. But so I didn't see it actually go in. I was looking up at the board. Um, but when I saw my teammates start to jump, it was just gloves flying. I didn't even care how it went in.
Yeah, definitely. What's it like playing with Darrell Watts just because she's such an incredible player? What's she like as a teammate, though, off the ice as well? Because everyone knows what she's like on the ice.
Yeah, she's one of my favorite people. She's actually one of my roommates, so we get to know each other pretty well. I think one thing about her that's cool is she just like loves the game. Like she's always laughing, smiling, having a good time in practice and stuff. So it's fun to be around her, and she's hilarious. If you get a chance to talk to her, she's a hoot.
Now, what was your reaction to her first Instagram post, and when is Darrell Watts going to be verified?
Yeah, that surprised me. She didn't even tell me she was going to post on Instagram, and all of a sudden I said like Daryl Watts posted her first Instagram. I was like, oh wow, okay, good time to do it, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. That was probably the best first post I've ever seen. I don't know if you agree with me on that.
Oh, you can't get better.
Now, I want to transition a little bit and talk about the beginning of your hockey career. So, you're from North Dakota. How'd you start playing hockey and falling in love with the sport?
Yeah, my dad, he played growing up just through high school. So, I have one older brother and he put my brother in hockey. So just as soon as I could remember, I was watching my older brother play and my dad always built a rink in our backyard in the winters. So it just was natural to put the skates on and start skating, and I've loved it ever since.
Who was your favorite player growing up?
I definitely followed the UND men's team, so players like Jonathan Taves and Oshie and stuff. I kind of have a soft spot for UND players.
Yeah, what was your reaction when TJ Oshie scored that hat trick after his father passed away? Because that was an incredible story to see.
Oh, that was awesome. That's so cool. I mean, you can't. That's just hockey. I feel like stuff like that happens all the time, and it's special. I think it's cool for fans to see moments like that and have the little bit more of the other side of hockey.
Now, what's the North Dakota hockey scene like? Because obviously the UND team is fantastic, and watching games on TV for that team, the stadium is incredible. It's better than some NHL stadiums, in my opinion. What's the
Yeah.
hockey scene like at the North Dakota, just in general?
Yeah, I mean, that's really unfortunate that they cut the women's team. I thought that was really good for girls, especially growing up and being able to have that in Grand Forks. I know I was growing up and I watched the Lamoureux twins play there, and it's good to have role models that are close to you to be able to see. So, I mean, that was too bad that that had to happen. But I think the women's game in North Dakota is definitely growing. In the past 5-10 years, there have been a lot of girls that come out of North Dakota and start, making a name in college hockey. So I think that's good to see. I try to come back in the summers and stuff and go to practices and stuff and just kind of be a role model in that aspect. But yeah, definitely on the rise. I think there's a lot that can be improved, but we're getting better.
Yeah, I know one player that comes to mind is Avery Myers. She plays for UNH, and she had an incredible freshman year, and she's from North Dakota as well. And I think players like herself, yourself as well, will help grow the sport, especially for women's hockey in North Dakota.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's cool when players stay in North Dakota to play high school and then make it in the college game. I played with her for on some summer teams, and her older sister is my age. So yeah, they're great people, and it's really cool to see people from North Dakota succeed.
Now, before Wisconsin, you played for the Bismarck Blizzard. How'd you get the opportunity to play with that organization?
Yeah, so that's the co-op high school team in Bismarck. So if you go to high school in Bismarck, you're playing for that team. But I was really lucky that we had some really good teams, won a few state championships, and the coaching staff there was great, helped me develop. So I never felt like I needed to leave and go play somewhere else.
And just how did the Blizzard help prepare you for college hockey with Wisconsin?
Yeah, I think it just gave me the opportunity to be a leader. You could go somewhere else and play and maybe not be the best player, but I feel like it helped me become a goal scorer. I could be confident with the puck and learn how to see the ice a little better just with more patience. So I think it was good for me.
Now, when you look back at your time with the Blizzard, what's your favorite memory there?
There's a lot. Um, I don't know, probably the state championships that we got to win, getting to play in the Ralph Engelstad Arena. That's pretty cool. Just, the fans that get to come, and that's a really sweet rink. So it was big at the time.
Now, talk about your recruitment process and what made you want to go to Wisconsin, and when did Wisconsin come on your radar?
Yeah, recruiting, it was a little bit stressful. I mean, as a ninth grader, you had some coaches emailing you. And I think women's hockey is one of those sports where the commitment age is really young. So when I was, a sophomore going into my junior year, I still hadn't committed anywhere, and coaches are trying to figure out their teams. So I had it narrowed down to a couple schools, and I don't know. I just felt like it was Wisconsin the whole time. Like I kind of knew it after I visited there. There wasn't really anywhere else I wanted to be, so it made the decision pretty easy.
And what was the biggest adjustment you had to make to college hockey?
Just the speed. Everything is just faster and harder. I mean, I remember after the first couple of summer sessions, I was talking to my parents. I'm like, they pass so hard. Like it's so hard to catch their passes. So just adjusting to the speed of everything. It didn't take too long to get used to it, but the speed and then just how everyone on the team is so committed to the game. It's just a little bit different than high school, and everyone wants to be there.
Now, you get to play under Coach Mark Johnston. What's it like playing under him? And does he ever talk about the Miracle on Ice memory that he had being a part of that team?
Yeah, he's a great guy. I mean, definitely one of the most genuine, caring people that you'll meet. He doesn't really talk about himself much, so it's kind of hard to get those stories out of him. But my sophomore year, I think it was the 40th anniversary of the Miracle on Ice, and he actually sat down with the team and he answered questions for almost an hour, which I think is really cool. I don't think a lot of people got to hear some of those stories before, so it makes you realize how lucky you are to be able to be coached by someone like that.
That's awesome. And is the Miracle movie accurate to what actually happened? Because I heard some parts of it are exaggerated.
Yeah, I actually asked him a lot of questions about the movie and how accurate it was. he said there's definitely stuff in there that's exaggerated, but the basics are there. Like the skating, he said the one where they got bag skated, that was pretty accurate. So if you're wondering about that.
Hmm. No, my favorite memory from that movie was when Herb Brooks like went into the locker room after they beat the Soviet Union, and he's just like, "Yes, that's like a cool moment." And then the other one was like when I think it was Ron McClanahan when he started getting an argument with Herb Brooks about his knee, just because
Yeah,
like a broken knee is a hell of a lot away from the heart, and they got like in that yelling matchup, and apparently it was a lot worse than actually what the movie portrayed.
really.
I've been told. So that was my two favorite scenes, just because if that doesn't fire you up, I don't know what will.
Yeah, I'll have to ask him about the fight in the locker room.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the national tournament run you had in 2019. So, your goaltender, Kristen Campbell, didn't let in a single goal throughout that entire tournament. How important was she for that tournament run? And just talk about how dialed in she was during that entire run, and especially since she didn't even let in a goal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we really ever talked about that like during the run that we hadn't given up a goal. I don't even think I realized it until someone said it after. But if you know Kristen Campbell, there's no one more deserving of something like that than her. She's one of the most professional, just dedicated hockey players I think I've ever met in my life. Sometimes to the point where it's a little bit scary, but she's a great teammate. And yeah, she was dialed in that weekend. And I think our defensemen too, we had such a strong defense core. Those two groups together made it pretty easy for the forwards to get things done.
Yeah, I had the pleasure to interview Annie Pankowski last fall, and she was saying that Kristen Campbell had it like written down, like on like a notebook or something, like that she was going to win the national championship and play well in it. And she said she was
Yeah.
always focused on that. And sometimes she had to tell her like to calm down just because she was training so hard.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, our coaches would have to literally kick her off the ice sometimes. I think she had like a picture of the rink that she knew she'd be playing in, and
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
she like visualize it or something. Yeah, nuts, but she's good.
Now, what was it like to win your first national championship, and what did it mean personally to you, especially since you beat Minnesota, your biggest rivals?
Yeah, it was a really fun season. I mean, I don't think you can ask for a better freshman season. Getting to come in and play with players like Annie and Emily Clark and Maddie Rolfes, just unreal. I don't think I'll get, another chance to do something like that. So looking back, I think I didn't realize at the time how cool it was. Championship. That's one of like the highest accolades you can get in women's hockey. So to get to do it my freshman year was unreal.
Now, when you look back in your first 3 years with Wisconsin, what do you remember the most, and what do you take away from it?
I think it's just being with my teammates. I mean, I think a lot of anyone you ask, probably that's one of their favorite parts is the memories away from the rink and in the hotels and the locker room and stuff. But I think it's just helped me become a better person. I think getting the chance this year to be one of the captains too has helped me grow a lot. Yeah, I'm just really grateful to be there, and there's nowhere else I'd really rather be.
Now, next year you're going to be a senior. What type of leadership do you hope to bring to the team, being one of the older teammates, one of the older players on the team next year? Obviously, being a leader as well.
Yeah, I think I'm the type of person that's just a little like calm and collected, even keeled. Keep people focused on what's important, try to hold people accountable. I think one of my biggest things I try to do is to serve. I think, you know, it does just because you're a senior doesn't mean you can't pick up pucks and ask the freshmen how they're doing and invite people. So I don't know, just to try to be a good teammate and a good friend of my teammates.
Now, what are your goals and expectations for next season?
I think it's gonna be really fun. I think we have some good freshmen coming in, and we're not really losing many people with the extra COVID year, so fans should definitely be excited. Um, I think it's gonna be really fun to get to play some more games, and yeah, I think we're gonna have a good run again.
Yeah, I'm excited, especially since Caroline Harvey's coming to the team next year, and she made the World Championship roster as a 18-year-old, which is pretty incredible to me.
Yeah, she's amazing. It's crazy to watch her, how good she is at skating and her skills. Like, yeah, hard to believe she's only 18 years old, maybe. Like, she's gonna be really good for sure.
Yeah, I know. Now we're now in a segment I like to call the non-hockey segment, where I ask you some non-hockey questions about yourself and your teammates. So my first question to you is, what is your favorite TV show to binge, I guess?
Um, this year when my roommate and we binge watched Schitt's Creek. That was pretty funny. I don't really watch a whole lot of TV, but I binged Game of Thrones last year. That was really good. I'd say those two.
Who has the best social media on the team?
Oh gosh. Can I say myself?
Yeah, that's good. What's your
No, I'm
favorite
just
app, I
kidding.
guess?
No, I think like Grace Bowlby has a good one. I don't know. There's a few candidates in there.
Nice, nice. What is your biggest pet peeve?
Oh gosh. I feel like I have a lot. I was just talking about this today, so I'll say this, but like at my apartment in Madison, when the garbage truck comes at like 6 a.m. and it's just smashing down the metal garbages outside my window, that's quite annoying.
Yeah, but there's some good sounds. Like I remember when I was a kid hearing the lawnmowers go off in the summer before like you just knew it was going to be a good day. So there's certain sounds that are I guess people will find annoying, but I actually enjoy to hear, especially.
I would agree with you. I like lawnmower sounds. It reminds me of like summer.
Definitely, I feel the same way. But I think my biggest pet peeve is probably slow drivers or bad drivers, just because if I need to get somewhere and someone's just moving very slowly, it can really bother me, especially here where I'm from. It's pretty bad sometimes.
Yeah, I feel that.
Now, who is the funniest on the team in your opinion?
Oh man. Okay, Cami Cronish, she's like really witty. She always comes up with funny comebacks or like just things no one else thinks of. Brett Pettit, she's just like a goofball. Like she's just weird, funny, always laughing and making you laugh. Kennedy Blair is pretty funny too. There's a lot of characters on our team.
Nice. And who is the best trash talker on the team? Who draws some penalties just by saying some good chirps?
Um Nicole Lamantia, she probably talks a lot. There's a few people on my team like Maddie Pozick and Delaney Drake that like bark at people, which is like weird. I probably get in there a little bit too.
Nice. Who has the best style on the team besides yourself, obviously?
Hockey style.
Hockey style or off the ice as well?
Um, oof. Off ice style. Shayla Edwards, she's pretty stylish. Grace Bowlby. Um, yeah, I don't on ice. I don't know. I say we, I say we have some pretty good style on the team. It's hard to pick one.
So like a 23-way tie, I guess, for that.
Yeah, sure.
Nice, nice. Now, if you could have lunch with one person, who would it be and why?
One person. Dead or alive?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Um, maybe like Jesse Owens or something.
Nice. Now, one question I want to ask you, and this is kind of the complete opposite of the best chirper on the team. Who's the quietest on the team?
Probably Shayla Edwards. She's quiet, but she's like secretly savage. Like she'll say stuff under her breath or like randomly, and it's hilarious. It just catches you off guard.
Now, final non-hockey question is, what music do you like to listen to on a general basis or just before a game as well?
Mm, I definitely like slower music. So I'm not someone you'd really want on the aux usually. I like country and like folky type music. I don't know. I like to just be relaxed before games instead of get super,
Mhm.
hyped up.
Who controls the aux then?
Um, there's a few. Usually it's either Delaney Drake, Brett Pettit, or like Tegan Grant this year.
And do they play good music? Because I know some people like don't like just put on headphones because the aux music isn't the best.
Yeah, it depends who you ask. I mean, I don't really have any complaints. I don't really care. But some people are very particular about their music, so we'll just let them go do their own thing.
Who has the best warm-up mix, I guess, besides Wisconsin? That's another controversial one talking to other players is some warm-up mixes are really good and others aren't.
I honestly don't know. I don't really pay attention during warm-ups, if I'm going to be honest. I thought ours was really good. We actually had like a DJ from one of the bars in Madison make our mix. So like it's pretty sick, but I can't think of any other ones. I'm trying to think of if anyone had like a bad one. I don't know.
How do you guys even prepare for warm-ups? I'm always curious about that because it seems like there's like no practice that goes into it. You guys all just skate around and do like drills. Is there any preparation that goes with it, like before the season? Like coaches are like, this is what you do for warm-ups, or is it kind of just like follow the seniors lead?
Yeah, we'll usually practice it once. Like we'll have a day like the week of a game or the week before our first game where we just pretend like it's game day. So we'll do all our off ice stuff and then go on. It's the same every year. So like after your freshman year, you don't really have to practice it, but I don't know. It's not that hard. It's usually like 4 different things we do.
Now, what would you do to help grow women's hockey in your opinion, and what do you think should be done to help grow the sport? I know we've been talking a little bit about some certain suggestions that could be made, but is there anything in particular that you think should be done to help grow the sport?
Um, I think it starts. It's obviously not an easy thing to do, but just making the professional league a little better, obviously. And there's not a lot of opportunities to play after college. I mean, a lot of the players now that are playing have to have 2 jobs and stuff. So I don't know. It's hard to show little girls how cool hockey is and the opportunities when there's not the best options. So I think hopefully in the next couple of years we'll be able to figure out some better options as far as professional hockey goes. But I think women's hockey players do a really good job of like being in the community, and you see players like Kendall Coyne and Amanda Kessel and what they're doing for youth programs. It's a really good first step.
Now, what advice would you give a younger player who's trying to pursue a Division One college hockey scholarship?
I mean, just the usual, work hard, just have fun with it. You don't have to make it super serious. But some things you can do is like email coaches. I think that's something that some girls kind of wait for them to get recruited. Whereas like I remember I emailed, 5 to 10 coaches from different schools that I was interested in and said, I'm playing at this tournament at this time. If you're interested, like come watch. So I don't know, there's different things that you can take some leadership in your commitment.
Now, is there any shout outs you'd like to give to any of your teammates, family members, or friends? I know we mentioned some of them throughout this interview, but if there's anyone that we forgot to mention, feel free to shout them out now.
Hmm. I'll give a shout out to Abby Rock. She scored in the PWHPA game last night.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for coming on, Britta. I really appreciate your time. It means a lot to me. I appreciate just you coming on. It means a lot to me. I admire you a lot as a player, but you're also a better person off the ice. So I just want to let you know that. But take care, stay safe, and good luck this offseason. And
Thank
hopefully
you.
I get to see
Thank
you
you.
play in person next year.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.